All right, rational exponent equations. These are the type of equations that we'll be solving today. We're going to be solving for the variables. Okay, so starting for our first one, we're going to solve for this variable b. First thing we're going to need to do is subtract 10 from both sides. Okay, we're just basically going to deconstruct this using our transpose and apply. So first thing, subtract 10 from both sides. So on the left, we're left with 4b to the negative 3/4 equals 21 over 2 minus 10. Okay, now this number 10, we could represent it as 20 over 2. Okay, 20 divided by 2 equals 10. So in place of this number 10, we're just going to go ahead and write 20 over 2. And what that allows us to do is subtract these fractions. So on the left-hand side, we have 4b to negative 3/4 equals 21 over 2 minus 20 over 2 is basically 21 minus 20 over 2. Okay, doing our fractions, we have common denominators. So 21 minus 20 over 2 just gives us 1 over 2, or just 1/2. Okay, next step, we want to divide 4 from both sides. Okay, this number 4 is being multiplied. Basically, I have 4 times b raised to negative 3/4. Okay, remember, the only thing that's being raised to this negative 3/4 is the variable b itself. This number 4 is not being raised. Okay, this number 4 is just being multiplied here. So to get rid of it, we could divide both sides by 4. Left-hand side, we're left with b raised to negative 3/4 equals, basically we have 1/2 divided by 4, which is saying 1/2 divided by 4 over 1. Okay, if you remember your fractions rules, that 1/2 divided by 4 over 1 is the same as multiplying it by its reciprocal. Okay, so 1/2 times 1/4, that gives us 1/8. So over here we have 1/8. Okay, 1/2 divided by 4 over 1 equals 1/8. Okay, we've made it down to this point here. I'm going to go ahead and erase all this stuff. If you don't have it already, go ahead and put this video on pause. Make sure you have it all written out. And what we're left with is this b raised to negative 3/4 equals 1/8. So what we can do to get rid of this fractional exponent is we're going to go ahead and raise this to its inverse. Okay, I'll show you why. Remember that what you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side. So what this does is that gives us b to the negative 3/4 times negative 4/3. Okay, if you remember your exponent rules, if I have x to the a raised to the b, that equals x raised to the a times b. Okay, when something's being raised to another power, you kind of multiply them together. And that's what we're doing here, is that we just raised it to its inverse. Okay, that way we can multiply it out, and what that does is this cancels. So we're just left with b, okay, equals 1/8 raised to the negative 4/3. Okay, so once again, I'm going to erase this stuff here. And this is the point where we're at. Okay, so if you remember, if something's raised to a negative power, let's say I have 3 raised to the negative 3rd, that equals 1 over 3 to the 3rd, right? If you have a negative exponent, it means that you bring this whole thing underneath a division bar. Okay, so here we have a negative exponent. So what this means is kind of like this, that we have b equals 1 raised to negative 4/3 divided by 8 to negative 4/3. Okay, so if you have this fractional exponent with a negative sign, the negative sign is going to do this. It's going to flip-flop it. So we have b equals 8 to the 4/3 over 1 to the 4/3. Okay, see what happens when you flip-flop it across. This negative sign allows you to flip-flop it across a division bar. Once it moves up, the negative sign disappears. Okay, same thing over here. That this negative sign makes you bring it underneath, and the negative sign disappears. So this is what we're left with. B equals 8 to the 4/3 divided by 1 to the 4/3. Okay. So 1 to the 4/3, if you have something that's raised to the 4/3, let's say 1 raised to the 4/3, okay, that equals the cubed root of 1 raised to the 4th power. Okay, this here is going to be your root. This here is going to be your exponent. So what's the cube root of 1? Cube root of 1 is 1. So then we have 1 raised to the 4th power. What's 1 raised to the 4th power? 1 raised to the 4th power is 1. So 1 to the 4/3 just equals 1. So we could go ahead and erase this and just replace it with the number 1. Okay, same thing. We're going to do the same thing with this 8 to the 4/3. So we have 8 to the 4/3. What that equals is cubed root of 8 raised to the 4th power. Okay, cube root of 8, we know that's 2. 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. Okay, that's 2. 2 cubed equals 8. So the cubed root of 8 must equal 2. Okay, 2 cubed equals 8. So the cubed root of 8 equals 2. So here we have cube root of 8. So we're going to say that now equals 2 raised to the 4th power. Okay, what's 2 raised to the 4th power? That's just 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, that's equals 16. So we get B equals 16. Final answer. All right, problem number 2. Here we're going to solve for the variable x. So the first thing we're going to do here is add 6 to both sides. Okay, negative 5126 plus 6. It's going to give us negative 5120 equals negative 5. Negative 5 times 3x plus 22 raised to the 5/3 power. Next thing we're going to want to do is divide both sides by negative 5. Okay, that gets rid of this negative 5 here and here. Negative 5120 divided by negative 5 is a positive 1024. I'm going to say that equals 3x plus 22 raised to the 5/3 power. Okay, so once again what we're going to want to do is to multiply by its reciprocal. So let me go ahead and erase this stuff here. And multiply by its reciprocal. Raise it to the power of its reciprocal. So what we're going to do is we're going to raise both of these to the 3/5 power. Once again, basically have 3x plus 22 being raised to the 5/3 times 3/5. Okay, that's what happens when you have a power being raised to another power, that you're basically multiplying them together. What that does is it cancels everything here. So we have 1024 raised to the 3/5 equals 3x plus 22. Okay, this is how we get rid of these fractional exponents, that we just raise it by its reciprocal and it cancels it all out. And then what we're left with is just what was inside. Okay, this is how you get rid of these fractional exponents. So this is what we're left with. This is the step that we're at. I'm going to go ahead and remove some of this stuff. And we have this. Okay, 1024 raised to the 3/5. That's the same as saying the 5th root of 1024 cubed. Of course, equals 3x plus 22. Okay, the fifth root of 1024 is going to be 4. In other words, 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 equals 1024. So you have 4 to the fifth equals 1024. So in other words, the fifth root of 1024 has to equal 4. So in place of fifth root of 1024, we just showed you that that equals 4. We're going to erase all of this here and put in the number 4. Okay, I'm just swapping it out. Here we had 1024 equals 4 to the fifth. So erase all this here. Now 4 cubed. Okay, 4 cubed. That's just going to be 4 times 4 times 4. Okay, that equals 16 times 4. It's going to be 40 plus 24. That equals 64. So 4 cubed equals 64. So we could go ahead and erase all this. Just put in the number 64. Okay, now to get this variable x by itself, we're going to subtract 22 from both sides. Okay, 64 minus 22 gives us 42 equals 3x. To get x by itself, now we just divide both sides by 3. So x equals 14. Yeah, I believe 14. So let's see, 14 plus 14 plus 14 is 42. So x equals 14. There's our final answer. Okay, that's the end of this quick video. I just want to give you the hint once again that to get rid of a fractional exponent, raise it to the reciprocal. Okay, so in other words, if I have x raised to the 5 halves, the reciprocal is 2/5. Okay, reciprocal just means flip-flop it. I think I once may have called it inverse earlier on this video. Please just disregard that. I meant to say reciprocal. Okay, so reciprocal is just flip-flopping it across the division bar here. And what that allows you to do is multiply these exponents together, which then lets you cancel them. Okay, so this is raising it to the reciprocal. Even if you have a negative exponent, so your negative exponent, let's say you have y raised to negative 1/3. Okay, to get rid of that, we're going to raise it to the negative 3/1. Okay, reciprocal just means flip-flop. Okay, flip-flop across the division sign here, reciprocal. So now that what that lets us do is y to the negative 1/3 times negative 3/1. Okay, remember, negative times a negative is positive. So the negative signs cancel out. The 1 and the 1 and 3 and 3, all we're left with is just y by itself. Okay, so here's, once again, how to get rid of these fractional exponents is to raise it to the reciprocal power. And then that lets you multiply them together and cancel everything out. Alright, I want to thank you for watching this video. Please hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and if you want to see more, simply subscribe to my channel for more videos. Thank you.